What's going on, YouTube? The Real Deal coming back at you with another video. This video is going to be a recap on everything that's happened so far. Excuse me. Really from the beginning till right now. I know I haven't had a whole bunch of content or a whole bunch of videos uploaded, so I'm trying to fill in the gap as to what happened. And the reason for that was because I really needed to concentrate on my training, because I needed to pass this as soon as possible. I mean, I have a wife and kids at home, so for me, failure was not an option. I needed to get done as soon as possible. But anyways, let's start from the beginning. So first off, I would recommend, if you can, please try to save up maybe at least a couple months worth of savings in your bank, enough to cover a couple months worth of bills at home. Because as you well know, at the very beginning, you really don't get paid, and you don't really start getting the 900, which is at this moment. What's today? Actually the 22nd of July. You don't. Right now they're paying 900 a week for the TNT phase, but during the PSD phase, you really don't get paid. Yes, they do give you a $200 allowance or whatever you want to call it, but you got to pay that back. Excuse me. But what I done was I went ahead and made sure I had a couple months worth of bills saved up in a savings account, enough to pay those bills, so I know I won't have to worry about it. Anyways, next, when you go, I went to Piston, PA. That was my terminal. So I got put in a hotel, and then the night before, I got there on the 29th. So on the 30th was my first day in June. The 30th of June was the first day for my PSD training, or orientation actually. First day of orientation. All you really do is a bunch of paperwork. You could ask some questions. Then you start on your CBTs, which is computer-based training videos. There's quite a few of them. I believe it was like 45 of them. So you don't have to get them all done on that day, but I do recommend to get them done as soon as possible, because that's just one less thing you got to worry about. Now, as far as the first day, like I said, we didn't do too much but fill out paperwork. We got the little green prime bag with all your papers in it and whatnot. Went to the computer room, worked on some CBTs, and our instructor, John, I believe was his name, took us outside one time to look over a truck, kind of give us an idea of what the pre-trip sort of looks like. That was okay. It was kind of sucked though, because the truck happened to be parked by a big old air conditioning unit. I believe it's for the cafeteria or air handler or whatever. That thing was huge and loud, so you couldn't really hear what he was saying at that point. But anyways, I do recommend partnering up with some of your classmates there, because this pre-trip is very, very, very important. In order to pass and get your CDL, you need to pass your pre-trip outside the truck and inside the end cab, which you actually can't miss any end cab, and then you gotta pass sorry about that, guys. One of my little girls was spending the night with her friend, and she come by to say bye, love you too, sweetie, because my trainer is actually picking me up tomorrow for my TNT face. Where was I? So yes, you have to pass your pre-trip inside and out. You got your maneuvers, and then you got your road test. Well, the best thing you could do is you could start, because we had a lot of time in our hands between just filling out some paperwork and doing the CBTs. There was a lot of time that you were just basically sitting there. So I would recommend, if you can, see if the instructor can find you a truck that you could practice on, and just go ahead and start practicing instead of just sitting there talking for a few hours or whatever till it's time to go back to the hotel. Just go ahead and team up with 2 or 3 people and go out there and start looking over the truck and pointing at whatever parts you need to point at, and just go over that manual. It is very important that you really study that, especially the end cab one. The outside, you could miss X amount of points, I believe about 20, but the inside you gotta nail the first time, and a lot of people fail that. So as far as how mine went, like I said, I done paperwork and CBTs the first day. The second day, finished my CBTs, and I actually got to go on the simulator. As far as the simulator goes, guys, y'all need to really treat it seriously, not just the game. Well, it's called simulator for a reason. Just treat it like you're literally driving in real life. I believe, from my recollection, if you just fail the simulator twice, I believe, I might be wrong there. I believe what I heard, it was twice. If you fail twice, you're basically out. So treat it seriously. And what I mean by seriously means when you get on the simulator, just treat it like you're driving the actual semi, because that's what it's set up as. And you need to really pay attention to your speed. You need to pay attention to all your directions. They're gonna give you directions on what to do or whatnot. But get in there, set your seat up, or whatever you need to do to get comfy. Watch your speed and watch out for signs. All the streets, read all the street signs as you're going along, because it will get you. Like I said, it's based on a real life simulation. So if you don't pay attention, you're gonna end up going down the wrong road. Okay, and if you go down the wrong road, you fail. If you speed too much or crash into another vehicle, you fail. If you get hit by the train, you fail. So just treat it as if you were actually driving a semi going down the road, and look out for all the signs and just follow all your directions, and you'll be fine. And just remember to watch your speed. Anyways, that was the second day of orientation, then a couple of us, excuse me, me and another guy were the first ones to get cleared as far as our background goes. So as soon as we got cleared and we had our simulations done, we went to another room and got our green badge. Once we got our green badge, then we basically had to wait for a trainer to get a hold of us so we could start our PSD training. Alright, so after that night of the hotel, the second night of the hotel, I received a text from my trainer. My trainer was Gene. And I met him. I met him that same night actually at the training pad. But anyways, we met up. We went over a few things, some pre-inspection, did some maneuvering. I believe he took me out one time on the road. Then after that, basically the next day, we already had a load to go out. Let's see. The next day, well, I came back the next day. So I had 2 days of orientation, and then I basically had 2 days on the pad. That's what it was. I had 2 days on the pad. Then after that, we got our first load. Went somewhere in New Jersey, pick up a empty, and then we headed to Maine. Then after Maine, we basically hit up, basically backtrack all the way to Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, a few of those. There's like 3 or 4 states all around there. Anyways, we spent about 8 to 10 days out on the road, and then we come back 2 days before my 14th day. So basically, the soonest you could test out, if you don't have a CDL, the soonest you could test out is 14 days from beginning your PSD training. So I came back on the 12th day, and it was a Monday. Yeah, I came back on a Monday. So we hit the pre-trip and all the maneuvering really hard. While we was out on the road, we still done some pre-trip, and even when we was going down the road, I was so serious about trying to get this on the first try that while we was going down the road, I was steadily just studying that pre-trip and trying to get my wording right. A lot of it is very repetitive, kind of boring, but it is what it is. There's no way around it. You gotta do it. So, excuse me. So basically, just get in that paper whenever, every time you get a chance. Just study up, man. Just practice. Just practice. And it seems like a lot, and it is a lot to remember, a lot to do, but everybody has their own way. I learned by actually physically touching and going over everything. It helps me remember. I got a very vivid memory as far as I guess you'd call it picture based. I remember everything in pictures, so if I see an item, whether that's the belt driven alternator, or what is it, belt driven water pump, gear driven power steering pump, and gear driven air compressor, as long as I lay my hands on it, it helps me remember. So everybody's different. You just gotta find your own way. So yeah, we practiced some on the road, but when we came back, we really hit it hard. I mean, we was there all day just practicing the pre-trips, some maneuvering, and basically that's it. We didn't do a whole lot of practicing on the road other than driving on the trip. And by the way, driving the 18-wheelers on the highway is like so easy, other than some dumbass drivers, of course, four-wheelers. But really where you gotta really worry about is when you come into town and you start making all the sharp turns and all that stuff. But everything else between point A and B is pretty simple. But back to the pad. One thing I did notice was the prime trailers that we were practicing with. Most of them are the newer style trailers. It took me a little while to get used to them as far as their reaction time. They react really slow to your inputs, and I struggled a little bit to figure out how to figure out how to maneuver them or put them where I wanted them, depending on how much I turn my steering wheel input. I actually got pretty damn good at that. But the night before my, what was it, the night before? No, it's that night when I came in, a couple nights before my actual CDL testing. I was doing really good, and then we happened to grab the actual CDL testing trailer later on that night when they finally let it go. See, there's a whole bunch of prime reefer trailers there. If you go in reefer, they also have a flatbed or whatnot, but most of them are reefer trailers there. So these reefer trailers are newer, but the ones that you actually test on are actually older. There's only two in that whole pad that's an older style reefer trailer, so their frame is set up a little bit different, and they did not handle like the newer trailers. I went from kicking ass maneuvering those newer trailers to jumping in those older ones and being like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. You know what I mean? I mean, them things, they turn so much quicker. It was just so different. The handling so different because they pivot so much quicker than the other ones that everybody normally trains on to begin with. Excuse me. And it just threw me way out of whack. I mean, you may think it's no big deal, but you start training on a certain type of trailer for a couple of days, and like I said, most of them are newer, so they act just about the same. They are a little beat up though, so some of them could have a little alignment issue, but that's besides the point. Point is, the new trailers versus the actual trailers you test on, it's like, well, to me it was a night and day difference. I was completely lost. All my maneuvers were just completely out of whack, and it actually had me really worried there for a minute. Luckily that next day we were there early. We actually happened to get our hands on the CDL trailer or even the sister trailer, they're both about the same age, and they both handle the same compared to all the other ones. So if you could grab one of those two old trailers to practice on, as soon as you can, do that. There's a reason why all the trainers hog them, because they know they handle differently than the other ones, and they want their trainees to practice on them as much as possible. So remember, if you get a newer trailer, it's fine to get your bearings and learn how to maneuver or whatnot, but as soon as you can, try to get your hands on one of those older trailers. Not only do they turn way quicker, they respond a lot quicker to the inputs on your steering wheel, but because the frame, the cross member in the front, between the landing gears is a different style, your set points that you use to know how far to jackknife or articulate a tractor and trailer to do your maneuvers is going to be different. And so that's one of the biggest things. The frame style is different, and the turning is way different. But luckily I was able to, like I said, that morning, get a hold of one of those, and I practiced I practiced a good bit between that one or the sister trailer, whichever one we could get our hands on. Just practice as much as I could, and I finally was able to readjust my style of driving, of maneuvering to that trailer. Because like I said, at first I thought I had it nailed, and when I got a hold of that actual CDL trailer they test you on, it was embarrassing to say the least. I was all over the place. So just keep that in mind. I don't know about the other places in Salt Lake City, Utah, or the other, what is it, Missouri. But in PA, there's only 2 of them, and they're way different than the other ones. Anyways, we spent too much time on that. After that, I was able to finally get my testing on, was it last Wednesday? Yeah, last Wednesday, which would have been the 14th of July. So basically 14 days. Stuff falling down in my garage. Sorry. Squirrel. Anyways, so come test day, I was supposed to test out. My appointment time was at 12:30 p.m. Wednesday. Well, that didn't happen. We were gonna hit up the pad a little bit earlier than that. You gotta be there at least an hour early before your appointment to make sure. But we was gonna be there earlier than that, just so we could get another pre-trip in, a little more practice or whatever before the test came up. But unfortunately, it seems like there's quite a few people failed that morning, so my appointment time went from 12:30 to like 10 o'clock, and I happened to be on the second floor, the shower, shaving at the back of the terminal when I noticed I had a bunch of messages and missed phone calls from my trainer, and come to find out they had moved. They wanted us over there now. So of course, no pressure, right? No pressure. We ended up having to rush down there and get some fuel because the truck was on empty. we finally make it there. We get the truck set up and whatnot. Our examiner's name was Blake, and excuse me, I'm guessing he's cool and all after you get to know him or whatnot, but I'll tell you what, during the examination, all you're gonna get is poker face and whatever kind of script it is that he's supposed to read off or tell you. It's not much information that you're gonna get from that guy, or he's gonna look at you kind of funny. So the whole test time, you're just basically rambling off all your pre-inspection, all your pre-trip items and whatnot. And whenever it's his turn to say something, he just tell you, okay, next, or whatever. But you basically just go around the whole truck and tell him what you're doing. He doesn't tell you much. You just tell him what you're doing and what your next process is. Everything you're doing, you need to let him know. Every time you're starting a new, you're going from outside, from doing the pre-trip outside to doing your lights outside, you just let them know what you're doing next. And you get inside, and if he happens to climb in, that means you pass your pre-trip inspection from the outside. Once you're in cab, you gotta nail this, guys. You gotta nail it. You gotta nail it the first time. There's no missing anything, so make sure you really learn that in cab. But anyways, I passed that in cab, and then he told me it was time to go on the road. So we got ready. We just took it wasn't too long. We were probably out like 15 minutes or so. Didn't go too far, but just like I said in the simulator, watch your speed, watch your surroundings, and watch all your traffic signs, because it will come in handy. And remember, you're going to be pulling empty trailer, so for the love of God, do not try to use the jakes, okay? When I went, the route I took, the hills weren't that bad anyways to have to use a jake to begin with. But if you pull that jake while you're doing your road test, and you have that empty trailer you're pulling, you're gonna automatically fail. So please keep that in mind. Do not use that jake. Do not speed, and do not crawl either. Just go about the speed limit. You know, just follow the speed limit. Because you go too slow, you could cause, you know, some congestion or whatever, some traffic, and they might dock you for that. Or if you go too fast, of course, they're gonna dock you or fail you for that as well. So just drive, you know, whatever the speed limit is, you know, safely, of course. But yeah, I done all my tests, and thanks to all the studying and that I done, I passed the first time. So basically, as they call it, trifecta or whatever. So the trainer got a bonus, I got a bonus, you know, that don't hurt, and I'm out in the quickest time possible, which is 14 days from when you start your PSD training. So to me, it really wasn't an option. I really had to hit the books hard. That's the reason for my lack of content or videos the last couple of weeks and whatnot, because I was trying to make sure I get it past the first time. Like I said, I saved up some money to cover me about a month or two on my portion of the bills at home, but I don't want to take that chance, because you never know what might pop up. So luckily I was able to stick to it, and I passed it the first time. There's a lot of guys, a lot of guys failing just from the pre-trip, yeah, of course you got some that fail in the maneuvering portion and the road test even, but most of them fell during the pre-trip inspection. The maneuvering, well, you know the pre-trip, just study as much as you can, partner up with somebody if you can, ask questions, just excuse me, develop a pattern on how you want to do your inspections, from the windshield down or from the cluster or whatever. I had a certain way I set it up that would help me remember specifically, and luckily that worked for me. And then of course, like I said, your maneuvering, try to see if you can get your hands on the CDL testing trailer or the sister trailer. That way you're actually training and practicing with the actual style trailer you're going to be testing on during your maneuvering. And then as far as your road test, just follow the speed limit, be aware of your surroundings, and be aware of all your traffic signs, your clearance, especially your speed, your no truck loud signs, you know, railroad tracks or whatever. But we actually had a mock railroad track or train situation we had to do, but your instructor will tell you about that. Basically just pretending there's a railroad track coming up, and what do you do in that case as far as slowing down, looking both ways, all that jazz. It's pretty simple. But anyways, that was that. So I passed all that. Then I done some more paperwork as far as W-2s and whatnot. And then I was ready to receive, to go get my CDL. I actually left that same Wednesday night, or Wednesday evening around 6 o'clock, and made it back to North Carolina around 3 o'clock in the morning, Thursday. You know, previously I went and got a little something to eat with the trainer, and we talked and whatnot. But I had already set up an appointment before I even went to Prime to begin with. I set up an appointment with one of the DMVs. Of course, nowadays, well, they might have eased up some now, but you know, for a while there, appointments were pretty far out. So I've actually, the closest appointment I could find was for the 20th on Tuesday, which was 2 days ago. But I set that up before even leaving for Prime to begin with, and that happens to be an hour and a half from here, because you do not have to go, you do not have to find get an appointment at your local DMV in your state to get your CDLs. Like mine were, my local DMVs were all booked out for almost a couple months. So the closest date I could find was the 20th of July, and I figured if I started on the 30th of June, that might give me enough time to get back home to pick up my CDLs. So that's how I set it up. But this place was actually in Morganton, which was about an hour and a half or 2 away from home, but it's the closest appointment time I could find. So you could go, or at least in North Carolina that I know of, you could go to any DMV, any part of the state, to still get pick up your CDLs or whatever. So you could set an appointment for anywhere as long as you're willing to travel. Because like I said, your local DMV won't always have an appointment open. Nowadays I think they're starting to take more walk-ins, but appointments are still taking precedence over the walk-ins, so you may or may not be seen. Previously, before even going to Prime, I went ahead, like I said, I saved some money up, put some money aside to cover the month or two that I'll be training, and excuse me. And I also went ahead and studied for some of the other endorsements. Now you don't have to do all of those. All you really need is tanker. But I went ahead and studied up and set up for my tanker, my doubles and triples, and even my hazmat, and set up my TWIC card, actually, which that might be something you could do, or they might be able to help you out over in orientation as far as that goes. But I wanted to be set up as much as I could before I left, so I went and done my fingerprints for the TWIC and for hazmat and all that. So when I came back home and picked up my CDLs, I was already all cleared, ready to go. I got all my endorsements as far as tanker, doubles and triples, hazmat. Got my TWIC card. You don't need all of that for Prime. I believe Prime does have a few hazmat clothes once in a while, possibly, but I just want to be prepared for any situation. So it's good to rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them later. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so fast forward to today is July the 22nd, Thursday, and I got a message from my trainer. Luckily, I'm gonna have the same trainer I had as my PSD instructor. His name was Gene, and I'm excited about that because we actually get along pretty good. Didn't really butt heads or whatnot. Seems like a cool guy. Of course, you know, treat him with respect and they'll respect you too. You know, there may be some trainers out there that not as great, but I think I lucked up with Gene. So appreciate that, man. Anyways, so he texted me a few hours ago, and I believe he's bringing a load down to Raleigh sometime tomorrow morning. Then after that, he'll be swinging by. I think, well, it's going to be about 2 hours. I'm about 2 hours from Raleigh. So at some point, he's going to swing by to pick me up or meet somewhere to pick me up. And then I'll be in my TNT phase. And mind you, like I said, I'm not hurting on my bills because I have money saved up just to cover all this, so we won't be hurting. And I don't have to worry about using Prime's 200 hours a week or whatnot that you gotta pay back or whatnot. I don't want anything coming out of my check that I don't need. So now we'll turn into 900 a week for the TNT phase, and I'm hoping to run the miles as fast as quick as possible so I could get them to my own truck. I know there's currently still a wait for lease trucks, which, you know, that's what I'm going for, is lease. And that's another reason why I really wanted to go with this instructor Gene, because he's actually a lease operator, and I want to learn the ins and outs, so whenever I get in my own truck I got a better idea. But anyways, this video has gotten way long. That's pretty much it anyways. Just caught y'all up to right now. Oh, my miss prime suspect over here. Done a few things. Just been taking care of some projects around the house while I was here, having some fun with the kids, and working on old prime suspect over here. But anyways, one day I'll show you a video on her. But for now, that's gonna be it. I got a little steak and tater dinner waiting on me, and my GoPro about to die. So please comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Just remember, keep it real.
Jeep Ram, more new Jeep inventory on the lot than anybody in the Carolinas.
I know it. Motherfucker.
Hey, let me move this brake.
Alright.
Alright.
It might not crank up now.